I have a confession to make. I am probably the most boring person you know. Today I thought I would share some of the slow living habits that I've come back to since spending some time in Italy, Croatia, and Portugal. I found it really difficult at first to balance the whole like work and travel, but there are some habits that I've always kind of maintained and I've been able to fall back into recently. So I thought I would share them with you today because I often get a lot of questions about what I eat and all these other things. So I thought I would cover some of those things today. And I thought I would start with the one thing that we all have and that we only have one of, the body. A big thank you to today's video sponsor, Nécessaire, which is a personal care brand that I was recently introduced to while traveling. I've been using their daily edit collection and I love it. What drew me to partner with Nécessaire was a few things. Number one, the simple and beautiful products, the fact that I didn't have any sort of body care products yet in my repertoire, and that's something I want to start getting into. But really, what drew me to take on this partnership was Nécessaire's adherence to the EU standards for safe beauty, their participation in 1% for the planet, and also the fact that they manufacture in the US using facial grade ingredients. As I mentioned before, I love how their product offering is very simple and really pared down. I typically get overwhelmed when it comes to skincare and like body care and all of these things. So the fact that they had such a nicely curated collection was really easy to integrate into my routine. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about Nécessaire and what I'm using on my body with them in just a few minutes. Okay, for me, pretty much everything in life starts with a good sleep. From a very young age, I have been obsessed with sleep. I have always required my 8 hours. In Canada, typically, I have like a 9 p.m. bedtime on nights when I don't have plans or events or anything specific. I'm like fully lights out between 9 and 9:30. However, here I am in Italy, in Lecce, and I spent the past 3 months also in Croatia during the spring summer, and like life kind of starts happening at 9 p.m. So I've had to modify my schedule, but in order to maintain a good sleep sort of pattern and to make sure I'm getting my full 8 hours, I will take a little nap after lunch. So here in Lecce, everything shuts down between like 1:30 and 5:30 anyway. If I have a late night or if I have plans to be out late, I'll make sure I take a little bit of a micro nap or as long as I need really in the afternoon so that I make sure I get my full 8 hours. A couple of other habits I've developed over the years to ensure that I get a good sleep, because you know, as we get older, I feel like we worry more or we have more worries. So some of the things that I've done are, number one, managing my own wake up time. I know this isn't possible for everyone, so what I've found is figuring out a way to wake up naturally has been really nice. I wake up feeling a little bit more rested and I'm able to wake up without that like harsh sound of an alarm. Second thing I've started doing, and this is thanks to my Nona, my Zias, and a wonderful friend of mine, is drinking chamomile tea before bed. I don't do this every night. It's really only on nights where I'm like really wired or stressed or anxious or I feel like my mind is just not stopping. It's really simple. I don't have a favorite brand or a favorite like formula of chamomile, but having a chamomile tea before bed really just calms, helps slow the evening down. I think it's a wonderful part of a routine and it kind of sets your body up for a more restful evening. I know that a lot of people talk about this already, but I typically don't watch TV before bed. I don't look at my phone. I typically read before bed, and that makes a big difference. My brain is a little less stimulated than if it were watching TV. And finally, I'm gonna feel like a big diva. Sleep mask. I've been sleeping with a sleep mask for like, I don't know, the past 8 to 10 years, and it is huge. It's like a signal. When I put it over my eyes, it feels, it's like, it's a little switch to tell my body like, okay, it's bedtime now, fall asleep. Like I notice a difference when I wake up and I haven't worn it in terms of feeling rested and just my eyes feeling relatively rested. And when it comes to the outside of my body, I'm not at all about like a 12 or 15 step skincare regimen or complicated and fancy products. I just like to use good quality product that feels good on my skin, that has good results, and that allows me to actually just take my time with that part of my morning. I am incredibly lazy. Please don't judge, but I only just started actually taking the time to moisturize my body when I get out of the shower since being able to find a little bit more balance with work. And this is where the Nécessaire Daily Edit collection comes into play. I use Nécessaire's the body lotion all over my body when I get out of the shower. It is a daily multivitamin moisturizer, so it both nourishes and moisturizes the skin, and if I need a little bit of extra moisture, which in the winter I know I will, I can add the body serum directly to the cream. I don't have to add another step. It's fantastic.
This feels really good on my skin. It feels rich and gives my skin a really nice soft texture.
The body serum actually has hyaluronic acid in it, which is good to kind of lock in that moisture. I use Nécessaire's mineral sunscreen, which I love. I love a good mineral sunscreen all over my body, but since it can also be used on the face, something else I love, versatility, I'll pop it in my bag so that I can reapply for the rest of the day.
Given the protection this sunscreen offers, I thought it would be a lot thicker and heavier, but it goes on nice and light and leaves my skin feeling very smooth and fresh, not greasy at all.
I prefer mineral sunscreens because they act as a physical barrier, and Nécessaire's the sunscreen has zinc oxide in it, which is an ingredient that I always look for in my sunscreens. I do not claim to be a skincare expert or anything, but I figured if you're lazy like me, maybe a little, and you still want to take care of your body, then you might like Nécessaire. I have a discount code for you in the description box below. I'll also leave it here on the screen for you. If you have a gap in your skincare collection, or if you are looking to try a new clean skincare brand.
I often get asked what I eat, and to be completely honest, I don't follow any specific diets or anything like that. I try to manage my food and exercise and like life in general in moderation and with balance. There are certain times of the month or certain times of the year where my body actually does crave different types of foods, things that are heavier, sweeter, and when my body is craving those things, I'll listen to it. I'll indulge every once in a while, definitely not every day, but I'll balance out the rest of the day or the rest of the week with healthy proteins, veggies, and I'll, not have too much alcohol, that kind of thing. In general, I'm not a huge alcohol drinker. I'm not a big coffee drinker, although here in Europe, I'll have like 1 coffee a day. So it's always about balance. It's definitely not the most exciting, and it's not the easiest thing to, I guess, replicate because it's entirely personal and up to you. I've also noticed that my body will crave and require different things the more I'm working out or training for something. Like if I'm training for a marathon, I'm not going to eat the same way when I'm not exercising as much. I'm definitely leaning heavier into the veggies and fish these days. It's just a preference and it's what is available. So eating seasonally is also really fun. And finally, I do use food as a way to support my body if it's experiencing issues, whether it's a skin issue or hair loss or stress and anxiety, that kind of thing. I'll definitely search sort of what vitamin deficiency is happening depending on whatever symptoms I have, and I'll make sure to get what I need through supplements. And for example, if I'm feeling particularly anxious, then I'll skip the coffee, and sometimes I'll even skip the tea because caffeine definitely wreaks havoc on my nervous system anyway. Good exercise. I'm one of those weird people who would always leave the party early in high school and university because I had to get up and run the next day. Not that I had to, I wanted to get up and run the next day. Exercise has been a part of my life since I can remember. I've been running track and field, or I ran cross-country distances starting at about 12. I think exercise is something deeply personal, and I exercise to maintain my nervous system, to keep it regulated, because I have a lot of nervous energy and it really helps. And I also exercise just to maintain strength and a healthy body. I think there is so much on the internet about we feel like we compliment other women's bodies at the expense of our own when your body is perfect. I think exercise, in my opinion, is so much more rewarding and powerful when we do it for ourselves and when we do routines and exercises that feel good for us versus what someone on the internet does and says. So my exercise routine, it changes throughout the different seasons of my life and it works for me. But all I've noticed is that when I don't exercise, things go south. So right now, since fracturing my patella in May, my exercise routine looks very different. Normally I run 3 to 4 times a week and then do strength exercises or other things for the remainder of the week. I work out about 6 times a week. I usually try and take one day on the weekend off. But now, because I am on a rehab program for my knee, I do interval running 3 to 4 times a week, and I do floor work and strengthening exercises for my knee and the rest of my body just at home without any equipment. I have invested in a TheraBand, which I really like because it can travel really easily with me. Finally, journaling and gratitude. At the risk of sounding a little bit maybe woo-woo, I've been on a bit of like a mental roller coaster ride throughout all of these travels, which is great, always a wonderful adventure, but it can be a lot. So when I get stressed or anxious, I really feel a physical reaction in my body, like I'm sure everyone does. Like, you know, you start sweating, shaking, and if it's prolonged, I lose my hair, like I get skin conditions. It's just not fantastic. While I've always practiced gratitude every morning, I've always wanted to start journaling, but I could never really get into it. But I guess here it's a little bit slower. I'm able to dedicate more time to it. So I've started journaling in the morning, and this has been so helpful. Not long, maybe like 15-20 minutes max, and it really helps start my day off being a lot more centered and getting any problematic thoughts kind of worked out first thing in the morning. Something that I did to help me kind of get journaling to stick was actually writing a letter to myself or to my friend. So that's kind of how I'll start it. So picturing someone in your head, like a really good friend or is someone who has a lot of compassion for you, or if you have a lot of self-compassion, that's great too. Write a note to yourself. So hopefully you find that helpful if journaling has been something that you've always wanted to do but could never get into. So that is what I have for you today. I know today's video was a little bit different, but hopefully it answers some of your questions, and as always, hopefully it introduces you to a brand that you find aligns with your values and that can bring some added value if you are looking for a more edited and pared down and like simple skincare. I know that's what I'm always looking for, so big thank you to Necessad for sponsoring today's video. Don't forget I have that discount code for you. I will leave it in the description box below. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here if you stayed all the way until the end. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. I hope you're having a wonderful week so far, and I will be back with a slow fashion video. Ciao!